There are days when you wake up and everything feels heavier than usual, like someone quietly added extra weight on your shoulders while you were asleep. You open your eyes, stare at the ceiling, and wonder why you feel so tired even before the day has started. You tell yourself to get up, but your body feels slow and your mind whispers doubts you thought you had already overcome. Maybe you've been fighting quietly for too long. Maybe you've been trying to stay strong while carrying things no one else even knows about. And in moments like this, it's easy to think that quitting is the only relief left. But what you don't always realize is that being tired doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've been trying, pushing, and holding on through storms that would have folded other people in half. Feeling exhausted is not a sign of failure. It's a sign that your effort has been real. Life has a way of testing you at the exact moment you feel like you're finally getting things together. You take a few steps forward, then suddenly get hit by something unexpected. Bills pile up, plans fall apart. People you counted on disappear. Motivation drops. And the world tells you to stay positive, as if that simple phrase could magically fix everything. But deep down, you're not looking for positivity. You're looking for permission to slow down without feeling guilty. You're looking for a moment to breathe without feeling like you're losing. You're looking for a reason to keep going even though you're running on fumes. And the truth is, everyone reaches a point where the pressure becomes too much, where the noise in their head gets too loud, where even small tasks feel like mountains. But here's something no one really talks about. Progress doesn't disappear just because you're tired. The effort you've put in, the sacrifices you've made, the nights you stayed up trying to figure things out, they don't vanish just because today feels heavier than yesterday. You're allowed to take a step back. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to pause without seeing it as defeat. Resting is not the same as giving up. Stopping to breathe is not the same as quitting. Even the strongest people break down sometimes, not because they aren't strong, but because they've been strong for too long without a break. Think about all the battles you've made it through so far. The moments when you didn't know how you were going to survive, but somehow you did. The nights you thought would never end. The situations you believed you would never escape. Yet here you are, still standing, still trying, still pushing. Maybe not as fast as before, maybe not as bright as you once felt, but still here. And that alone is proof that you're capable of more than you give yourself credit for. You don't have to pretend you're okay all the time. You don't have to act unbreakable. You're human, and humans get tired. Humans fall apart. Humans need rest. And that's not shameful, that's normal. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is slow down and admit that you need a moment. Sometimes strength looks like sitting quietly, letting your body recover, letting your mind breathe. Taking care of yourself is not selfish, it's survival. And the people who care about you truly care, won't think less of you for taking time to heal. They won't call you weak. They won't judge you for slipping. They'll understand because they've felt it too. Everyone has their own breaking point, their own silent battles, their own moments where they question everything. You're not alone, even if it feels like it. And you don't have to rush your way out of this feeling. Healing is not a race. There are moments in life when you feel like you're walking through fog, unable to see more than a few steps ahead. You keep moving, but everything feels uncertain. You try to remember why you started, but the reasons feel distant, almost blurry. And in that fog, doubt becomes louder. You start wondering if you've been wasting your time, if the path you chose is even worth it, if all the struggle will ever lead to something better. It's a quiet kind of heaviness, the type that doesn't shout but slowly drains you from the inside. Yet even in that fog, your feet keep moving because a part of you still believes there's something waiting for you on the other side. That part of you, no matter how small it feels right now, still matters. Sometimes survival is simply choosing not to stop. People often say, stay strong, as if strength means pushing through pain without slowing down. But real strength is different. Real strength is knowing when to pause. It's understanding your limits without giving up on your potential. It's telling yourself that resting doesn't erase the progress you've already made. The world praises hustle, speed, productivity, and constant motion, but no one can operate at full power forever. Even machines break down without maintenance, and you're far more complex than any machine ever built. There's a quiet kind of courage in taking a step back. You have emotions, fears, responsibilities, dreams, and a mind that gets overwhelmed sometimes. Not the dramatic kind, not the type people applaud, but the slow, steady decision to protect your well-being. You don't have to collapse to justify resting. You don't need to wait until everything feels unbearable before you allow yourself a break. Imagine talking to someone you care about, someone who's struggling the way you are right now. You wouldn't tell them to push themselves until they fall apart. You wouldn't call them lazy for needing to breathe. You'd encourage them to rest, to recover, to take it slow. So why is it so hard to give yourself that same compassion? Why do you hold yourself to a harsher standard than everyone else? Maybe it's because somewhere along the way you learned to equate rest with failure. Maybe someone told you that you had to be strong all the time. Maybe you grew up in an environment where slowing down wasn't an option. Or maybe you simply got used to carrying too much because you never had anyone else to share the weight. But the truth is, you don't have to earn rest by destroying yourself first. You deserve rest simply because you're human. And when you allow yourself to recharge, you're not stepping away from your goals. You're preparing yourself to pursue them with clarity and strength again. Think about the times in your life when you felt completely drained. But after a moment of pause, even a small one, things started to feel different. You looked at the same problems but saw new angles. You felt a little lighter, even if the situation hadn't changed. That's the power of rest. It resets your mind. It gives your heart space to settle. It allows your body to release tension you didn't even know you were holding. Rest is not a reward, it's a requirement. If you deny yourself that, everything else becomes harder than it needs to be. You don't have to move fast to be moving forward. Some days forward is a tiny step. Some days forward is simply not giving up. And some days forward is deciding to rest so you can continue tomorrow with more strength. Life isn't a straight line. It's a combination of pauses, leaps, setbacks, and growth. But none of those moments define you on their own. What defines you is the choice to keep trying, even when things don't feel easy. What defines you is the resilience you've built through every challenge you've survived. There's a version of you in the future who's proud you didn't give up during this exact moment. A version of you who understands that resting today allowed you to rise stronger later. That version of you isn't asking for perfection. They're asking you to hold on. They're asking you to give yourself permission to breathe. They're asking you to trust that rest is part of the journey. Not a step backward, but a necessary moment that helps you keep moving. And maybe right now you don't feel strong. Maybe you don't feel motivated or confident or ready, but you don't need to feel strong to make it through this. You only need to keep going in whatever way you can, even if today that means slowing down. There will come a day when you look back at this moment and realize it wasn't the end of your strength. It was the beginning of a new kind of strength. Not the kind built on forcing yourself to push through exhaustion, but the kind built on understanding your limits and honoring them. You'll remember how heavy everything felt, how overwhelming the world seemed, how tired you were deep inside your bones. But you'll also remember that you didn't quit. You rested, you slowed down, you took a breath instead of breaking. And that decision, as small as it might seem now, will become one of the reasons you're still standing later. Not because you were unshakable, but because you allowed yourself to bend without snapping. Life will always throw challenges your way. Unexpected ones, unfair ones, heavy ones. But you're not meant to face all of them at full speed. There are seasons where you move fast and seasons where you move slow. Seasons of pushing forward and seasons of recovery. You're not falling behind just because you're in a slower season right now. You're not losing your potential just because you feel worn out. Growth often happens quietly beneath the surface in moments when it looks like nothing is happening at all. The strength you're building now, the resilience you're forming by choosing to rest instead of quit, will carry you further than you realize. You're allowed to imagine a better version of your life, even if your current situation feels messy. You're allowed to dream of stability, of peace, of success, even if you feel stuck right now. You're allowed to believe that you deserve good things, that you deserve progress, and that you deserve to feel okay again. And you're allowed to move toward those things at your own pace. No one else gets to decide the speed of your healing, your progress, or your journey. Not the people who doubt you, not the ones who criticize you, not even the voices in your head that try to convince you that you're not enough. You are enough, you've always been enough. You just need time to feel it again. Think of all the moments you once thought you couldn't survive. Think of the days that felt impossible. The days when you were certain you had nothing left to give. Yet somehow you made it through them. Maybe not perfectly, maybe not gracefully, but you made it. And if you survived all of that, you can survive this too. Give yourself credit for the strength you've shown. Give yourself credit for being here. Reading these words, trying to understand how to keep going even when you feel drained. That alone is something many people never manage to do. That alone shows that you haven't given up on yourself. Even if it feels like you're barely holding on, you are not falling apart. You're adjusting, you're healing, you're learning how to carry your life in a way that doesn't break you. And that takes time, it takes patience. It takes moments of quiet where you sit with yourself and acknowledge your exhaustion without judgment. But every time you choose rest instead of quitting, you're rewiring your relationship with strength. You're teaching yourself that your value doesn't depend on constant motion. You're proving that you can slow down without losing your purpose. When you finally rise again, and you will, it won't be because you forced yourself to keep running on empty. It will be because you allowed yourself the space to refill your energy, to rebuild your clarity, to reconnect with your purpose. The comeback that's waiting for you is not born from burnout, it's born from recovery. And when you step forward again, you'll do it with a stronger foundation beneath you, a clearer mind guiding you, and a heart that remembers how far it has already come. So don't punish yourself for being tired. Don't judge yourself for needing rest. Don't tell yourself that slowing down means you're failing. You are allowed to take time. You are allowed to breathe. You are allowed to heal. And when you're ready, even if it's not today, even if it's not tomorrow, you will rise again with a strength that feels real, steady, and unshakable. For now, let the simple truth stay with you. Being tired is not a reason to quit. It's a reminder to rest, recover, and prepare for the next chapter that's waiting for you.